People get caught up in the grind and growing the business and whatever, but remember why you're doing all that.
So Lucas and I were coming back from Houston a couple months back, and we really got discussing on his story at API and how he got started here. He said it was just really from, hard work and just doing what he was told, but there's really a lot more to it than that. So we decided to go in depth and ask him and a few others a couple questions to elaborate.
The long story really starts before.
Correct, yeah. So I really lucked out. My brother and I lucked out with some awesome parents who taught us manners and respect and work ethic.
Lived out in the country. We had a gravel driveway, always full of potholes. So I always had a pile of gravel so that if they would get in trouble, I'd make them move wheelbarrows full of gravel. Yeah, didn't want to be on that end of the shovel too much anymore.
Yeah, I wasn't the best student. I actually got suspended a couple times.
Did get a call at work from the principal that Lucas stuck a paper clip in a receptacle, throwing the football in the bus, him and his brother. They were told to stop. They didn't stop. And so the school bus driver said, y'all can't ride the bus.
And I would try to pay attention in class, but you know how that is.
The first paying job was pulling red rice for a friend of ours. He offered them a company truck, quote unquote, and they didn't have a driver's license. So they would go on the back roads and go very early in the morning, work all day.
I enjoyed the physical labor, pulling red rice, crawfishing. It was fun. We'd get there early in the morning, cut the frozen fish to use for bait, and then we run the crawfish traps all day long. Hope to minimize the snake encounters. The moccasins would like to coil up on top of the traps.
Oh, nice.
My parents moved to Carencro to shorten their commute to work, and they decided to build their house. My dad subcontracted all of it, and so my brother and I became carpenter's helpers.
They were a big help and learned a lot with the tape measure and all.
And right about that time, I was looking for local work. So my dad put in a good word for me at API, which at the time was American Pneumatics Incorporated.
I said, man, you think you'd have something for Lucas to do? He said, sure, we got all kind of stuff that he can do over there. So he went, started working and just doing, sweeping floors and spraying Roundup, cutting grass, cutting the nuts off of tubing.
He was 15 when he started.
15.
Yeah.
So you remember him when he was...
Oh, yeah. His daddy didn't spend no money. Didn't give him no money.
Well,
if you want anything, you got to go
you gotta
work.
earn it.
Almost got fired. I was taking out the trash pretty routinely, threw away some cardboard boxes, and I didn't realize, I think there were some lightweight volume bottles in one of the boxes that I threw away, so they weren't too happy.
So at this time, you were obviously entry level. How long did you have that entry level work for?
I don't really remember how long. It was a while. Eventually, I was promoted to working in the dungeon, and that was tearing apart old surplus panels, cleaning Teflon off the fittings, and eventually I was taught how to rebuild the actual panel components and bench test them.
At this entry level point, you were still in high school point, right?
I'd go to work after school and work on the weekends and all. Well, early on, I did some traditional sports when I was younger, but during the high school days, I got into racing dirt bikes, so I was all about making money to pay for parts.
And every time they weren't in school, they felt they needed to have a job. We didn't say, you need to go do the job.
They wanted to go buy a polo shirt, they could go buy a polo shirt because we were
Oakley
poor.
sunglasses.
We were poor. I couldn't afford it. And then they started thinking, okay, so, what are we going to do about a vehicle,
I can remember on football Fridays, whenever they'd have pep rallies, when school would let out a little early for the pep rally. Lucas was not staying for the pep rally. You'd see his little Ford Ranger tearing out the parking lot so he could get to work.
He wasn't thinking about owning the business at that time.
I can assure you his brain wasn't thinking that far in the future.
I was trying to keep up with the high school nightlife and work a lot. And lesson learned on that, you can't do both.
He would do whatever Renee needed him to do. Sometimes he'd be here at midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning working in the shop, and he goes drive his car in the pond at his daddy's house. He fell asleep.
And I thought he was joking. I didn't believe him at first.
And woke up sliding off the driveway, hit the brakes, barely missed a tree. Thankfully I didn't hit the tree. And I hit the pond.
Called me, and I'm like, well, Luke, just back it up out of the pond. He said, but you don't understand. All you could see was about this much of the roof.
Renee helped me get it running. We went to AutoZone, bought all the fluids, got it going. We had the hood popped, and he was telling me to start it, and he was underneath spraying all kind of stuff, and it caught fire. So he took off his API jacket, put out the fire. We actually used the Haskell pump to pump the water out of the gas tank. Truck never ran the same after that.
Yeah. How were things back at the shop?
Things were progressing along pretty nicely. I was getting more efficient at rebuilding those components and bench testing.
He was interested in starting to actually do some of the technical part of it and work inside the shop. And in order to do so, he had to have some more technical skills. So we spent a few hours in my shop. He brought on some little stubs, and we used that stuff to do measurements, and he learned quickly.
These simple jumpers turned into longer single line runs and then bulkhead groups, and then eventually learning to build the panels completely. And what really clicked is whenever I was able to go to T2 class, learning the PNIDs and learning the safe charts, that's when it really comes together.
What time frame around? Like around 2000s area? Was there anything special around that time?
I met my wife now of 20 years. We have 4 kids together. I was working in the panel shop and she comes rolling in one day and I said, "Oh man, who's that?" She was punching in to start working in the front. We went to lunch as a group a couple times and then I asked her out. She said no. I asked her out again. She said no. So I was persistent. So lessons learned, guys. She finally went on a date and I actually put a sticky note on her time card to meet me in the drafting department. That's how I finally got her to come on a date with me.
She had to play hard to get, huh?
Yeah.
Still in college at this time.
Yeah, 2002 I graduated from UL in mechanical engineering and it was tough. About halfway through I was trying to quit. My parents convinced me to stay in.
Average 5.5 years. Not that much longer.
He was just having so
I
much
thought
fun,
he
he
was
wanted to
doing
stay.
good.
Now you got an education, you got to put it to use. You don't waste it.
Zach told me somewhere along the line, once Lucas started working inside the panel shop, Lucas is going to run this place one day.
I think my last semester I was actually put on salary and I was managing a pretty large international job for us. So that worked out well, ended up staying on. I remember about that time, one of the owners was in the office teaching some design work to me. I showed up late one morning. He kind of got on me and said, "Man, like I'm here trying to teach you and you can't get here on time." Needless to say, from that point on, my punctuality improved quite a bit.
Do you remember gifting him a book?
I remember reading one that was given to me by Michael Johnson. It was called Built to Last. Core values, building a company to last for generations, and I passed it on to Lucas.
So yeah, around 2005, the mentors that I was working for left to start up a new company and they had a lot of success. I learned a lot from those guys and happy for them.
You have a need and somebody's got to fill it. What better person to me to fill to somebody that been here from the beginning, basically. Now you got an education.
So our New Orleans area manager, Felix, ended up buying out his brother, Zach. Learned a lot from him. I really like how he was able to keep us cool in intense situations.
Fast forward a little bit, 2008, you have a side hustle business.
Yep, so 2008, I was running the company on one of the locations and happy, doing well, but I wanted to scratch the entrepreneurial itch. And I saw a problem with the race series that we were involved in, and it was a lot of travel and things weren't organized the best. So I took the initiative with the help of friends and family to invest in a scoring system and start a Louisiana race series.
LACC is called the Louisiana Cross Country Series. It had been a long time since we had a series in Louisiana. When you went to some of the national events, in particular there was one called the GNCC, and they really celebrated the riders. Well, Lucas brought that vision to Louisiana. It was great. Everybody loved it right from the beginning. We didn't know he had this entrepreneurial spirit in him, but really he brought this series to Louisiana and it really celebrated the racer. There were little things they did that the racers appreciated, like posting the scores or the timing for each lap right after the race was finished. So you could see how you did right away. It's kind of common nowadays, but back then it really wasn't. The other thing he did, he built this great website where you could track articles and track your results, and it really just celebrated the racer. He had like podium steps where you could get your trophies, and then they'd have a microphone and you could talk about how you did at the race and everything, and give thanks and stuff. He treated everybody the same way, from little kids to old people in the old classes to the professionals. He really brought a fun, exciting series to Louisiana. It's pretty innovative.
I know there's ups and downs in a business. Did y'all have any real serious downturns along the way?
We did. So about this time, right when we were starting this side business, the industry slowed down. 2009 was pretty tough. We actually had pay cuts across the board, but I remained patient. I tried to have some understanding. It's just market situation, we'll get through it, and we did. We rebounded pretty well. Not long after that, the owners wanted to exit, so they ended up selling to a much larger service company in 2014. Some people get worried, but I kept an open mind, and I really liked their culture, and we got along well, really good people. They actually helped me get an MBA, so thanks to them, and also thanks to my wife for helping out with that. She was so supportive. In the downturn of late 2018, 2019, I got a call call, said, hey, come to the headquarters. And so went, and they made an offer for me to buy back the company. So really struggled with the decision for a while, got advice.
Lucas called me, and because he knew I was doing some work with some other companies, he asked me to think through this with him, kind of be a sounding board. So I remember I met him in his barn-dominium where he was living with his family while he was building his house. He had a lot going on at the time, but he really thought long and hard. He did his due diligence. And one of the things I really appreciated about his ability to analyze was he let the data and the analysis inform his decisions. And he wasn't just, some people make a decision and then they try to make the data fit it. And he didn't do that.
Perfect fit, perfect opportunity. The timing was right.
My feedback to him was that the three people he needed in his life as a business owner was going to be a good banker, a good attorney, and a good CPA.
Decided to do it. I pulled in a longtime employee, Brandon Verrett, and we went with it. That's the start of a whole nother story. And I really feel like we're in just chapter 1 of that.
He said, I want to build a company that values people. I want to build a company where people can grow and stay for a lifetime. He had that vision at the beginning, and he still has it now. And it's rare, very rare to meet a CEO, a business owner, or a president who thinks like that.
Y'all did the deal. How'd that feel?
Yeah, it was good, man. It felt good. It was stressful, but it's been rewarding. We started off, it's kind of a piece of the business, but we were roughly about 12 people. Grew exponentially for the next 5 years.
Started out as a grass cutter, and now I was the owner of the company.
How much of this you think was luck or hard work? Or
Absolutely. There was a lot of luck involved. I was lucky to have good parents that taught us work ethic. I was lucky John Danos and Zach initially formed the company. I was lucky that my dad had a connection. But then a lot of hard work, asking questions, showing up. So a combination. It's hard to say exactly what percentage. And I'm really thankful for people along the way. I had a dozen bosses, and I learned something from every one of them.
You got to get the full scope of the work. If you don't have it, you can't give the man a price. You're not going to be successful.
What's the last bit of advice to somebody that might be pursuing something like this?
Take extreme ownership in your own career path. Try hard, ask questions, show up. Really find a company that you fit the culture and the purpose, and just keep gravitating toward that. There's going to be ups and downs and industry trends and all. But just stay patient. I've had a good career, but I think I'm most proud of being able to create a situation where I have a little bit of freedom and I'm able to keep the work-life balance. We're able to spend time with the family, go on vacations, still enjoy hobbies. People get caught up in the grind and grow in the business and whatever, but remember why you're doing all that.
I like that. That's awesome. That's good.
And then they were always working on their dirt bikes themselves.
I remember one time Bruce was working on Lucas's dirt bike, and Lucas grabbed a stick. He's probably 10 years old, and he started beating the tree with a stick. And Bruce said, "Hey boy, pay attention." And he threw that stick down, and he went and looked at what his daddy was doing.